Laying out the left rear spar. The first thing I do is make sure that the joint where the two spar pieces come together is square. Once I know that is, I measure down on the root side and establish the location for the attachment point. So look on the print. On B it's 85.7. Yep. 85.7 inches. I'll mark that out. Find center and actually Calico the one attachment plate in position, and then start making my other measurements based on that. I placed the cap strips in here so to help reference setting this and getting the initial hole I'm going to put for this attachment piece. So I laid out a vertical line back here to help keep this square. This hole here should run down this center line, and then of course this hole should line up on the distance measurement from the splice. So once I'm happy with that, I'll mark and drill that hole, Calico this guy in place, and then use him as a reference from everything else. If you look at the print, it's 1 1/4 inches. Yeah, I just had to check that. 1 1/4 inches back from here is the reference point to the end of the cap strips, which is used some places on the prints. So I'll also put that line on here before getting this all set. Drill that hole and go to the other measurements. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this line because it was a reference for squaring that part. You want to know what gets rid of Sharpie marks? Acetone. Now I'm going to lay out the 1 1/4 inch reference from the center of the attachment hole, which is, per the plans, the end of the cap strips. And things are referenced from there, so having a line on here, we'll be able to measure from our line. Because it's actually kind of got a lot of curves involved and doesn't lend itself to measuring it any other way. So we'll just mark that. I've marked out all the rib locations, all the station locations, and made sure everything matched the print. Double checked, triple checked. And now what I'll do is lay the cap strips in and transfer the rib locations to the cap strips. On top of that, I'll transfer the areas I don't want to put rivets where the stations are. I only need to do one cap strip, and then I'll lay all 4 of them together, drill them all at the same time, and all the holes will line up. It won't matter where I put them. I'm going to trim this end of the cap strip to match the pretty corners on these end attachment pieces. So on the other end of the cap strip where I've marked the maximum length is what I'll line up. So down at the end we're going to have this bracket on, and so it's got quite a ways that it's going to have number 5 rivets over here. So I'm going to do the rib location here. It'll get drilled for its rivet so that attachment for the rib will have a place to sit, but we're not going to do any rivets past here. So basically this whole area here, I want to mark that we're not putting any rivets in it. We'll do them after we attach the cap strips to the spar and we know where all these brackets go. Over here on station A, we know there's going to be a bolt top and bottom, so we won't put any rivets in that area. And I'll continue down the cap strip and mark out all the stations so that we don't put bolts where or don't put rivet holes where a bolt goes later. I've marked out where I don't want to put holes. I've marked out where I do want to put holes. And so now I'm going to take the cap strip out of here, stack the other 3 below it, set up my drill press, and drill all the rivet holes for the cap strips that I can.